I'm Debbie Burgess. I'm Company Director of Brightprint Group. I think accountants have a great opportunity to really champion the whole energy reduction environmental movement within their organisation. At the end of the day, they're the ones seeing the numbers, they're the ones that can see the benefits or the cost benefits of implementing even just small projects within their organisation. And from that, I think they can certainly leverage those numbers to build traction with others within the team. And if they personally believe in what they're doing, well, then there's going to be authenticity with it, and I think that will just build momentum within the organisation. Brightprint Group was established in 1962. We're actually a fourth generation printing company. We employ 110 people across the group. Our range of services is anything from design and concept through to print management, inventory, warehousing and logistics, offset and digital printing, binding, finishing, kitting, personalisation, mailing, distribution, so quite a raft of services. Our foray into energy reduction really started, I guess, because I've always lived by the idiom waste not, want not. So for me it was just a natural extension to also incorporate that philosophy into the way we did business, and it just made commercial sense to try and reduce our operating costs. Our lighting project really started from a need for us to have an energy audit back in about 2008. We had a lot of metal halide lighting in our warehouse, and the energy audit identified that our lighting was around about 30% of our total electricity usage, and by replacing that metal halide lighting with induction lighting, we were able to save 75% electricity usage on the lighting itself on an overall consumption of 30%, so they were good numbers. Lighting replacement was really a no-brainer. Once you saw the numbers down on the sheet, you sort of think, why didn't we know about this earlier? But I guess the technology wasn't around earlier either. And we jumped into it with LED lighting initially in one part of our warehouse. We thought we were doing the right thing. The numbers certainly stacked up, but the lesson we learned is that not all technology is the same, and that you really need to do your homework in terms of what you're putting in there. And the LED lighting that we did initially install had a very short shelf life, wasn't reliable lighting at all. So since then we've moved on to induction lighting, which has given us a much better light within the warehouse and has maintained those savings. Our initial lighting replacement did not involve the energy certificate scheme. To be honest with you, it was only a new scheme, and we were a little bit sceptical of getting involved in any of the schemes. We thought, oh, we can afford to fund it ourselves. Since then though, we've learned a lot about what's available, and it's very easy to become a part of the scheme and to make sure that your lighting complies with the scheme. About 30 to 40% is the total cost of the project that we had to fund. The rest of it came out of the energy saving certificates. So again, it reduced our payback to just over 12 months, which is quite significant. Some of the other areas that we identified were things like our water and our waste usage, our recycling efforts. Water is a bit of a tricky one because water per se is not expensive. But one area in pre-press, which was our computer-to-plate technology, was using a significant amount of water. So we decided that we'd put a meter on. We were fairly alarmed to find out that we were actually using 18 litres of water per plate. We're talking an A1 plate, 18 litres of water. And we thought, no, that can't be right. And then when we spoke to the manufacturers of the machinery, they said, well, yes, that's how much water, and we were horrified. Then we looked overseas to see what sort of recirculation units we could perhaps install so that we could keep reusing that water. We purchased a recirculation unit from the States, and after installation our water usage per plate went from 18 litres to just under 2 litres. So massive 90% saving in water usage per plate. Now the recirculation unit It's about $15,000 worth, but we had that paid back within about 3 years. And it wasn't so much the payback for us, it was just knowing that we were doing the right thing by recirculating perfectly good water. I think when you start going down the whole path of really opening up your organisation and looking at all the different areas of resource use, whether it's labour, whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's waste, it sort of gets you on a bit of a roll, and it's very hard beast to pull back. Once you start down that path, you become quite obsessed about looking for energy savings, looking for areas that you can improve upon. So the transition to us from offset to digital was really quite an easy transition. There's still a lot of work that we can't produce digitally that remains to be produced on an offset press, and I dare say will be for still quite a few years. When you're producing 100 brochures using offset technology, quite often you might need to print 30 or 40 to get the colour to where you need to go, because the colour needs to come up on the press. It's very difficult to stop the press at 100, so you might end up printing 120 or 130. So all over, you can produce nearly twice as much as what you need just for that 100 brochures. But the benefit of digital technology is you only produce what you need to produce. So if you need 100 brochures, you produce maybe 102 brochures. The kilowatt usage of a digital press compared to an offset press is very similar, but it's all those other little add-ons that make the job, that make it more efficient from a resource as well as cost perspective to run a job digitally as opposed to offset. When we had the energy audit prepared back in 2008-2009, the biggest item from a capital expenditure point of view and I guess from an energy reduction perspective was putting solar panels on the roof. But the capital cost 5 or 6 years ago was still quite prohibitive. Back in 2008-2009, to put a 99 kilowatt solar system on our roof was going to cost close to $1 million. So over the last 5 or 6 years, that $1 million has dropped down to somewhere around the $300,000 to $350,000 mark. So significant savings. On the back of that is the opportunity to access the CTIP grant, which is a dollar for dollar grant, which obviously halves our costs now to around about the $150,000 mark, which gives us a payback of around about 4 years. To get to the midpoint in our journey has been very satisfying. The benefits are enormous, and certainly there are many that I would not have foreseen 6-7 years ago when we started on this journey. So everything we do now is kind of wrapped up in this whole, is it the right thing? Where can we save? Where's our next point of improvement? There'll probably only be incremental improvements until we get some kind of breakthrough in technology. But knowing we're at a point where we've ticked off most of our bucket list is very satisfying.